Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, Hunter. Welcome back to the Baseball Head. I hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. We're waiting for the National League Championship Series to begin. It doesn't start until Sunday for 8. We don't know who the Mets are going to be playing yet. Either going to be the Padres or the Dodgers. Quite frankly, I have no preference. I'm not going to say one or the other. I do know what the Mets will be dealing with either team. Started thinking about it the last day or two. I won't get into it now in this video, but we'll talk about that once we know who wins tonight. Also, they have moved up the ALDS series between the Tigers and the Guardians. It's supposed to have some rain. So instead of them playing, I guess, at 8 o'clock on Saturday, they're going to be playing at 1 o'clock on Saturday. So we'll have some kind of resolution to that. I guess the Yankees have about as easy a path as known possible as you can get to the World Series. Not like the Mets. They had to deal with every horrible thing, every horrible team along the way. They'll probably be the last horrible team the Mets have to deal with down this line. But this run now started really the moment Steve Cohen bought the team. He bought the team from the Wilpons. Now we know we don't have to get too crazy about the Wilpons now. Although I will say Fred Wilpon was there. They showed him in one of the sort of the clips in Game 3, sitting with, I guess, was it Joe Torre? Sitting with Joe Torre? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So the Wilpons are still skulking around. But that's not what this video is about. The video is about the very first thing that the Cohen family did when they took the team, when Steve did when he took the team, and that is a trade for Francisco Lindor. And the biggest trade in the history of the club. People were hoping that it would pay dividends right away. I remember right before the trade happened, particularly WFAN, I'll have a video on them either today or tomorrow, just completely ripping them apart and how they're pretending like what they said the last year didn't take place, it didn't happen. It sort of gotten onto the bandwagon. But be that as it may, the very first move of the Cohen era is Francisco Lindor. They traded two pitchers, two pitching prospects. I don't think they made the majors. Ivan Rosario, who's bounced around now from team to team. After he was with the Guardians, and he went to the Dodgers, and then he's gone to the Reds, and he's been all over the place now. But I would mention he was the best prospect in baseball. And after watching him play, I asked myself this question: why? But he was an everyday player with the Mets for a few years. He was the regular shortstop. The Mets sent him as well as Andres Jimenez, who's still in Cleveland. And he's a pretty good glove. The bat comes and goes. But right after they made the trade, a couple of weeks later in spring training, the Mets signed a Lindor to this massive contract of $341 million. And it has taken him 4 years to make that worth of the money. Finally had a payoff. Now there is this article from the Wall Street Journal. I can't read it because it's behind a paywall, but I don't need it. I know what's happened over the last 30 years of Mets history. I don't have to worry about reading this, but this is the headline from it. The $341 million investment that just delivered an epic payoff for the New York Mets. The Mets signed Francisco Lindor to a gigantic new contract. It was supposed to signal the start of a new era. On Wednesday night, that new era arrived. I would say that new era arrived last week. So much has happened in the past 11 days. I think some people forgot that they played the Braves last week. 2 weeks ago, the Mets had all these problems with the weather, with that evil hurricane that hit down there, and now we got this second evil hurricane down there hitting the South so badly. But that first hurricane just absolutely wrecked the schedule. Or what the Braves thought it would wreck the Mets. I think that's kind of partially why they did it. Plus, they're stupid in the Braves front office. And I think because of that, they thought they could wreck the Mets pitching staff. And then the Mets had to go to Milwaukee. They played that 3-game series in Milwaukee. And then they had the incredible comeback on the final game to get them to be in good shape. That really put a stake partially through the heart of the Diamondbacks, because then it meant that the Mets would have to, all they would need is one victory on Monday to clinch a tie with the Diamondbacks to win the last wild card spot. But what was interesting is that Monday, Mets had they came back in the game in the 8th inning. They gave up the lead. Edwin Diaz gave up the lead. And then, of course, Francisco Lindor hit that humongous 2-run home run to put the Mets out in front permanently in the game. And that was the start of it. What is interesting, of course, if they had won that game, people would be sort of questioning what kind of team the Mets had. But they won the game, which was the most important thing. And they were able to do that. And then they had the great series. And he didn't have a great series against Milwaukee, but he had a big at bat in the third game. Had that walk that set up the 3-run home run by Pete that got the ball rolling. I felt that as well, that if the Mets had gotten some people on, that they were going to do their best to get at least the game tied. Instead, they took the lead, and they were able to get to the divisional series. And then, Lindor, like I said, he's been very quiet since last Monday, but he's had very good at bats. It's really helped start these rallies. And obviously, the big grand slam that he had on Wednesday night was just off the charts, insane. I think we can all agree on that. That was one of the biggest home runs in the history of this franchise, and it's really the only third grand slam the Mets have ever hit. Obviously, we had the first one by Edgardo Alfonso. Then a couple weeks later, '99, we had the grand slam single, the grand slam that never was. People sort of didn't mention that the other night, but the grand slam is putting him in a rarefied air. I mean, people are talking about him might be the biggest athlete in town, the biggest athlete in New York City, and this is bigger than Horseface with the Yankees, and of course they say maybe bigger than Jalen Brunson with the Knicks. Now here's the thing about baseball. Baseball's a huge sport in New York City. It's bigger than basketball, bigger than football, obviously bigger than hockey. So anything a baseball star does here, it magnifies. And I would mention Aaron Judge and all his and all his tremendous feats and all his record-breaking numbers. He has never hit a home run. He's never hit home runs in the last week that Francisco Lindor has. And he's not hit as many home runs as Horseface has. And that's Francisco Lindor. He's got a little over 200 home runs in his career. He'll probably finish with 400 home runs if he plays to this level of the next 5-6 years. But so people are talking about Lindor in real rarefied air. Nobody has done this kind of stuff. And as far as I can remember, no Met has ever done stuff like this, which I'm very happy about because I've been on his case for 3 years, for 3 seasons, and even a little bit this year. But his attitude really since last year, has changed a lot. Obviously, he came in here, was all the thumbs down that first year. He had a bad influence with Javi Baez. But the Mets weren't going to give up on him. The Coens liked him so much that they didn't threw him out the door, especially with this contract. They were going to have a tough time moving him. But he has sort of grown into this role. We know 2 years ago he had a very good season with the Mets, had a terrible finish. They did a lousy job trying to sort of improve the club at the trade deadline. And then last year everything collapsed. Well, what I thought was the most interesting thing about last year is that after the Mets traded Max Scherzer, Dave Robertson, Justin Verlander, that his attitude was very much, I'm all in on the sell-off. Let's get to work. And I thought that was really the first sign that, to me, that his leadership started to come through. That, to me, I respected that because he could have just sort of hung his head after they did that. I know the team did collectively, but he did not. And I thought that was very important, that he did not do that. Now, where the Mets are right now, don't put anything past him at this point. He seems so calm in that 6th inning after hitting the grand slam. That's about as calm of a moment as you could. That's a crazy moment. Everybody in the ballpark was going crazy except for him. He was about as calm, as cool of a customer as you can get. And he was expecting to do great things. See, I've talked a lot about leadership over this past season. Leadership isn't just about saying the right things, on the field, in terms of how you treat the opponent, how you are in the clubhouse, how you are with the media. He's always done those things well. The issue was with particularly with me, was getting the job done, what the Mets need him to get it done. It had less to do with the money that he was making and more to do with him just getting the job done. All the great players that have been with the Mets all these years, they always got the job done when it comes to leading the way. When things are falling apart, you want your leader to come through. Keith Hernandez always did that. Gary Carter always did that. And that's why, this performance over the last 10 days by him and Pete Alonso, by the way, shows you the leadership. That's what we mean when we talk about leadership. It's not just what you say, it's what you do on the field as well. And coming through in a big spot. And the leaders on this Mets team, particularly Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, and Pete Alonso, have all been coming through in the past 11 days. And I don't expect it to be any different. They're all feeding off each other. Now, what's great now is we get a couple of days off. Mets need some time off. Need to get their pitching staff rested. And then we'll be back at it. Figure out where they're going to play, either in San Diego or in Los Angeles. But let me know what you think about this $341 million investment that we all thought was going to be a disaster when it happened. Well, I guess including your host, by the way. But it's turned out to have a big payoff. And we're very close, folks. Very close to the goal. I just got to get... I want to thank you all for coming by. Please hit the subscribe button before you go. Now, this is a Mets channel that is for the Mets fan. It is the best YouTube channel and the best podcast on the internet. I want to thank you for coming by. Please subscribe, and I'll see you later.